Indeed, small child. My neighbours setting up their dining table out the front, so I'm going to be speaking very quietly because I do not want them to know I exist. They're about 10 feet away from me. We're going to turn this into an ASMR video and make everybody uncomfortable. I have a bone to pick with those of you who were surprised at the end of my last video when a hamster showed up. My feelings are hurt. Possibly. Thank you. Possibly irreparably, because now I'm aware of just how many of you don't listen to anything I say. Follow me on Instagram if you want behind the scenes stuff, which I would recommend, given what is about to happen soon. Instagram finds out about things before YouTube finds out about things, so if you want to know things first, it's the place to go. I have had this hamster since June 1st. I have been posting on my Instagram about this hamster since June 3rd. Meanwhile, those of you who have been following along on Instagram, you have been incredibly patient waiting for the name reveal because I have just refused to give out that information. There's no reason why I needed to keep that secret. I did that just for funsies. So allow me to, at last, formally and officially introduce you to my new hamster, Lemonade. Feel free to argue in the comments about whether she's named after the fizzy pop or the fruity American beverage. Either way, she is wonderful, she is beautiful, she is perfect, she is my baby, and I love her. Lemonade is a female cream-banded Syrian, and yes, she is a long-haired. But look, it's not my fault this time, you can't blame me. There were only long-haired Syrians available. Poor me, I didn't have a choice in the matter. Oh my goodness, how sad. Evidently, this is not a curse that I am trying to break. She's approximately 4 months old, give or take, and she currently weighs 106 grams. She is adorably small. She was 98 grams the day I brought her home. She's so tiny. That is something I've noticed about the domestic hamster pool here in Cyprus. They do seem to be consistently smaller in size than hamsters in other countries. She's only got about 2-ish more months of growth, maybe more, maybe less. So if I were to estimate at what I think her adult weight would be, I think she's probably gonna settle around 115 to 120 grams, which is small for a Syrian anyway, but especially for a female Syrian. But that is on trend of the weights of my previous Syrians, so. As mentioned a moment ago, Lemonade joined our family on the 1st of June this year, 2022, and she spent the first 3 weeks in our family living in a quarantine enclosure. I won't go into much detail here about the quarantine enclosure because I made a whole post about it on Instagram. If you want to learn more about it, go and check it out on my Reels tab. But to summarize, the point of having her in quarantine was just so I could observe her behavior, make sure there were no medical issues that might need to be addressed by a vet, make sure there were no behavioral issues that I might need to address when it comes to taming or just her care in general. And because she's female, and in my country small animals are rarely separated by their sexes, there is always a chance that if you get a female animal, it could be pregnant. So keeping her in quarantine allowed me to check and monitor for any signs of that, which thankfully we are well past the gestation period now. There were no symptoms, no signs, and no babies. An additional benefit of quarantine is because a quarantine enclosure is much smaller and much more simplified than the main long-term living enclosure, it makes it so much easier to work through those first fundamental steps of taming, the trust building steps, which can be really, really difficult to do if you have a particularly skittish or shy hamster and you put them straight into their main enclosure. Sometimes they will just disappear and they will not be willing to work with you and cooperate with you, and it can make taming so much more difficult than it needs to be. Luckily, Lemonade has shown to have a very pleasant personality. She's very friendly, very inquisitive, curious. She's not shy, but she is healthily cautious about new things. So her taming has been moving at a steady but progressive pace. After 3 weeks of consistent taming, she's not quite ready to be held yet, but she is starting to come around to the idea of climbing onto people's hands. She's very happy to interact with people in other ways. She's more than happy to be out and about exploring and out in the open while people are around. She doesn't mind people talking to her, and she's starting to respond to her name a little bit more now. She's very comfortable with taking food or treats directly from your hand, comfortable putting her paws onto your hand, and she's also somewhat getting used to the idea of being stroked. She's not super stoked on the idea of that, but we're getting her used to it. So I'm not going to share too much more about Lemonade because I do want you guys to share along in the journey with me, but I do have a huge heap of adorable footage from when she moved into her new enclosure, when she was exploring all these new things for the first time, her first experience in a sand bath, a digging box, using a wheel for the first time, all this stuff, and I do want to share that with you, but in the comment section of my last video, you guys made it very, very clear that you would like a dedicated video of her exploring the cage. So I'm going to take a few days to go through all that footage and compile it into a single video, and then that will be the next thing that you get to watch. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you whenever I see you. Bye!